Both the PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live games with gold freebies have been revealed for the month of August, and now it's time once again where we compare the games head to head and decide on which service has the better offering. And before I even get into this video, I have to say that this is one of the more one-sided months in recent memory, but I also have to say that both services are pretty good. It's just that one service is really good, while the other service is kind of okay, kind of good. Probably gave away a little bit with that already, but without further ado, let's get right into this. First up, as always, we're going to be going over the PlayStation Plus games, and we only take a look at the PlayStation 4 titles. First up, without a doubt, the biggest game offered to PlayStation Plus subscribers is Mafia 3. Now, Mafia 3 was a game that I was personally very excited for. Coming off of the excellent Mafia 2, we were getting Mafia 3, and it was touted to be set in a new open world in New Orleans, and at the time, the open world craze was really at its apex. Just about every game was moving into an open world, and with Mafia, that seemed like a series that could really make strides in an open world format, but unfortunately, it kind of faltered in that area. It still has what you love about Mafia, the great storytelling, the great voice acting, the great character development, but the gameplay leaves a lot to be desired. I was disappointed by the game, but I also did find enjoyment out of it. My expectations were just so high. Mafia 3 has a 68 on Metacritic. I would say that's a little bit underrated. I would peg it around the 73 to 77 range.
You're getting past here, boy.
Next up, another very good PlayStation Plus freebie, Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is a multiplayer game, and I love multiplayer games as PlayStation Plus titles because these games are best played with friends, and sometimes if you're the only one that owns a game, it's a little bit of a hard sell to get some other friends to pick it up. But with Dead by Daylight, as long as you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you and all your buddies are going to be able to check this game out. So let's talk about the game itself. It's a multiplayer 4v1 horror game where one player takes on the role of a savage killer and the other 4 players play as survivors trying to escape the killer. A gameplay style we've seen before. Some people would even take elements of this game and make it their own in other popular multiplayer games like Halo or Call of Duty. But with Dead by Daylight, its sole focus is that. The killer plays in first person and is more focused on their prey. The survivor's goal in each encounter is to escape the killing ground without getting caught by the killer. It's a very good multiplayer game that I would recommend you to play with friends. This is another one where the Metacritic score is a little underrated. 64 on Metacritic. I think it's closer to a 70, maybe even a little bit higher than that.
What it's been used for. The nurse's power is called Blink, which makes her able to teleport in a straight line. She can cross through walls, survivors, and other objects. With a little skill, you can even chain several smaller blinks to travel even longer distances. The nurse has grown accustomed to blood, and she can sense and feel an injured survivor from afar. So try not to get hurt, and whether you should help someone or not is not an easy call. The nurse comes with...
And lastly, we do have a PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR title with the psychological horror game in Here They Lie. Here They Lie injects you into a frightening, surreal world riddled with strange and malevolent creatures. Horrors lurk around every corner, just out of sight, haunting and infecting your mind. Dare yourself to go deeper down the rabbit hole and confront the meaning of your existence. When virtual reality really came to the forefront in gaming, I think the one genre many gamers wanted to see translated were horror games, and we've already seen several horror games. One of the standouts has been Resident Evil 7. That was pretty good, and Here They Lie is yet another one. It seems like they really haven't found their footing yet, but as PSVR titles get better and better, so will the experiences. But PSVR titles are getting better and better, and Here They Lie shows that once again. 62 on Metacritic, and as I mentioned in a previous video, it is kind of disappointing that the Metacritic scores for all of these games are under 70, but again, with Mafia 3 and Dead by Daylight, I would say it's a little bit underrated, but as I mentioned, I do like to use Metacritic to offer an objective viewpoint with these games.
But what does it mean? What is it for? I waited on the platform for the train to take me home, but it never came. Sometimes the darkness is there for a reason.
So those are the 3 PlayStation 4 freebies. I would say a pretty good month, but now let's move on to Xbox Games with Gold, which offers a stellar month. Probably one of the best months Games with Gold has had in quite a while. First up is the open world racing game in Forza Horizon 2. Now, yes, this is Forza Horizon 2, but Forza Horizon 2 is still a phenomenal game, and it's really great that they decided to give out Forza Horizon 2 instead of, say, a Forza Motorsport, because Forza Horizon is going to be a game that is much easier to get players invested into rather than Motorsport. Forza Horizon is much more arcadey, and again, it's an open world racer with dramatic weather, day and night cycles, 200 cars, and exotic locations. Even if you aren't a fan of racing games, I always recommend to give Forza Horizon a shot. It is such a fantastic game. It's got an 86 on Metacritic, and yes, while it would have been fantastic to get Forza Horizon 3, Forza Horizon 2 is very much quality in its own right, and hopefully at some point Microsoft decides to add Horizon 3 to Game Pass. If Forza Horizon 2 wasn't a good enough game, you're also getting the Ubisoft multiplayer game in For Honor. So those are 2 pretty big budget games, and you're getting both of them with your subscription. For Honor is a game that did have kind of a rocky start, but since its start, it's gotten much better. Ubisoft has stayed committed to the experience, refining it, making it better, and now we do have an expansion coming out later this year in Marching Fire, and that looks to be expanding the experience even more. For Honor is a fantastic multiplayer game at this point, and as I mentioned with PlayStation Plus, it's great to see multiplayer-focused games on Gold and on Plus, because these games are best played with friends, and when these games are offered as freebies with each service, you don't have to convince your friends to buy them. They can just check it out with their Gold subscription, and For Honor has a 79 on Metacritic, but bear in mind that this is a game that has gotten considerably better over time, so that 79 really isn't evident of what the game is today.
Where order has broken down, where cruelty and lawlessness rule, lawbringers are justice. They go wherever they are needed, and they come prepared. Their armor has no equal. Its construction, a secret of their order. And they carry the most versatile weapon ever invented. The poleaxe.
And not only with those 2 games, of course, as an Xbox One owner, you have Xbox 360 games at your disposal through backwards compatibility, and you've got 2 pretty cool 360 titles this month as well. First up, we have Dead Space 3, which, while I will say is the weakest of the 3 Dead Space games, it is a very good action third-person shooter as well. I say an action third-person shooter, not a survival horror game, because with Dead Space 3, it has lost a little bit of that survival horror element. However, Dead Space 3 did add cooperative play, and again, with Games with Gold, you can just get a buddy to download the game, and you can enjoy a co-op playthrough together. The game has a 78 on Metacritic, and I would say that's pretty accurate. And lastly, we have Disney's Epic Mickey 2: The Power of Two. In Disney Epic Mickey 2: The Power of Two, you play as Mickey Mouse and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Disney's first cartoon celebrity, in a co-op adventure to save the magical world of Wasteland and alter it forever. Now, I was a big fan of Epic Mickey on the Nintendo Wii, but it looks like Epic Mickey 2 wasn't as well received with a 59 on Metacritic, but as an additional game on top of everything else you're already getting, I would say it's a nice game with a pretty iconic character, so it's a game some people will check out. 59 on Metacritic, not the best game, but hard to complain with all of the other games you're getting as well. Now, as I mentioned, I thought PlayStation Plus had a good month. I would say it's a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 month for them, but when you look at Games with Gold, Forza Horizon 2, For Honor, Dead Space 3, and then you get Epic Mickey 2 to round it out, that is just a month that is going to be very hard to beat. A lot of great games there, and hands down, I've got to give the win to Games with Gold. They are just getting a lot of great games with their service this month. Still, as I mentioned, I think Plus had a good month. I think Mafia 3 is an underrated game. I think Dead by Daylight is a good game, and as a multiplayer title, it's great as a Plus title, and for those of you with PSVR, Here They Lie is a good checkout as well. You can play that game without VR as well, but VR really adds to the horror experience. That's gonna conclude this video. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me in thinking that Games with Gold is hands down better than PlayStation Plus, or do you disagree and think that Plus has the better better offerings? Sound off with your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.